After looking up, it's time to look down. Hillwalkers in the Highlands are being asked to keep their eyes peeled for fragments of meteorites. Now, do you remember that exploding meteorite seen up in the night sky from the Isle of Lewis to Edinburgh back in July? Well, now, those lucky enough to be in the Scottish Highlands are being asked to look down for bits of meteorites that might have since landed. Scientists are hoping they could provide some missing bits of the jigsaw in the history of the solar system. Our Scotland correspondent Lorna Gordon has this report, which contains flashing images.
In the skies above us, the bright burning light of a meteor. For 30 million years, it's been travelling through space and is about to hit land in Scotland.
Our models predict that it basically landed slap bang on the top of that Munro in the distance there, which is called Ben Alder. It's about a 6-hour hike to get there from here.
Scientists believe the meteor could reveal secrets about how the planets were formed.
So if it's what we think it is, it's likely a rock that's older than planet Earth itself, and all the minerals and materials in it basically are the building blocks of planets. So if we study this rock, if we find it and able to study it, it can tell us basically about the origins of planet Earth, how planet Earth came to be, and how our asteroid and wider solar system have formed and evolved.
Their efforts seen here to find the remains were curtailed by bad weather. So experienced walkers out on these mountains are now being asked to help bag a meteorite as well as a Munro.
If you think you found one, what you're looking for is something dark and shiny. Probably, realistically, it's going to look quite different to anything around it. It's going to look out of place. If we're right about what kind of meteorite it is, it's going to be very iron rich, so it's probably going to be quite, maybe a little bit shiny, but probably quite rusty because we've had quite a lot of rain recently.
The fragments could look like this from a meteorite discovered in Africa. Finding them here is a much more unusual occurrence.
So this is a once-in-a-century event, which is why it's so exciting.
Are you hopeful of finding them? If they break down that quickly, it's a bit of a race against time, is it?
It is a race against time, yes. We would hope we can find it in the next few months. Otherwise, with the Scottish winter, it will degrade quite quickly.
The fireball's trajectory means the meteorite's fragments are scattered over mountains, lochs and land. Tracking any of it down will be a challenge, but the precious samples of space rock will be priceless to science if found. Lorna Gordon, BBC News, Dalwhinnie.
So let's find out more about this. The astrophysicist Dr. Chris Copperwheat is here with us now. Can I just say, Chris, I love the title of our last guest, UKFAll Alliance.
That's incredible, isn't it?
That's a good name.
It's the new superhero team. I'd love to be part of the UKFAll Alliance.
But you're not part of their alliance.
I'm not, no.
But you do know a thing or two about what we're talking about. So if someone's walking around, what might they see? How will they know something has come from there rather than something regular?
Sure, yeah. I mean, meteors, meteorites, they do tend to look quite different. It's going to be black. It's kind of scored through the heat and the pressure as it came through the atmosphere. So black, a little bit shiny. This one in particular, it's believed has quite a high iron content, so it's going to be a little bit rusty as well. About 30% of these meteorite fragments are going to be made of iron.
And what sort of your hands are sort of this size then, but what could be all different sizes of fragments?
Could be any size. Yeah, they could be small handheld pieces. They could be tens of centimetres across. So the UKFAll Alliance, they've asked if there's any small pieces that you could sort of safely collect. They're asking, ideally, if you have a sort of a sandwich bag or foil, something to protect it, use that. If it's a big piece, record the GPS coordinates of where you are and get in touch with them. So this is a rare opportunity. So, I mean, the reason why we're interested in these things is they're giving us an insight into the early solar system and how the formation of the Earth. So when we study the Earth, the rocks of the Earth, there's a long history of, water and life, erosion, all the natural processes. They don't tell us much about how the Earth was in the beginning. These ones are like time capsules. They're sort of frozen with those conditions. So when they land on the Earth, and if you can find it very soon after it landed, before it gets a chance to be contaminated by, again, the water and the natural processes on the Earth, you learn an awful lot about how the Earth began. And that's why they're asking, if you find one and pick it up, try and sort of prevent yourself from contaminating it with your hand when you pick it up.
Well, you don't want to mix your DNA with alien DNA, do you?
Well, absolutely not, no. And you don't want someone to analyse this rock and think they've discovered a new form of life when actually it's just you.
How unusual was this? We saw some pictures earlier of, this coming in and exploding in the Earth's atmosphere. Because when we usually see, and you'll have to explain the difference, like comets, like travel through. They're not in our atmosphere, they're
Sure.
above. But when we see this come through and explode in the way it did, that's not very common, is it?
So what this is a shooting star. So if you go out on any night, if it's a dark night and you study the sky for long enough, you'll see shooting stars. Most of them are quite small. They're small particles that burn up in the atmosphere. If it's a bigger piece, then it can come down and we see these sort of beautiful displays, these very bright displays. There can be explosions in the atmosphere. There can be shockwaves.
There was a sonic boom,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these big ones. Again, depending what it's made of, it can either sort of, impact into the Earth like a bullet, or it can explode in the upper atmosphere into many fragments, which is what has happened here. So there are many fragments over a large area. So what's interesting about this is because it was so bright, because it was observed by so many people, they can triangulate where it is on the sky and get the rough idea of where it landed. So if you go out, you can routinely find meteorites because, of course, they've been landing on the Earth for millions, billions of years. So you can find old ones, but a young one that hasn't been on the Earth for very long, that's quite rare.
How easy is it to track it back to where it came from if you're looking at trajectories?
It's quite difficult because what you need to do is, because it's moving extremely fast, of course. So what you need to do is view it from multiple angles. So there's the Fireball Alliance. They run networks of cameras over wide areas to find these things, and they're helped, of course, here by there were so many civilians, people who weren't involved in the science program, who also observed it from different locations and took video footage and so on. So that gives you an area, and of course, how precise that is tells you, how big the area where it could potentially have landed. So the area here is quite large. It's a large area of Scotland around the Ben Alder mountain.
Do you know, Chris? I know you're a scientist, and we know so much now, don't we? But you go back hundreds of years, someone witnessing something like that, you might have thought it was, the end of the Earth, or they might have thought it was, some cataclysmic event, or maybe even a kind of biblical type event. It would have had so many different connotations.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's a long history of humans interpreting things, not just like this, things like eclipses and so on, in different ways as, signs and portents. The sign of a comet in the sky and that sort of thing in the Roman era was often a sign of impending doom or some great change in civilization. So, yes, we are fortunate now in that we can understand these things a lot more. And they give us more of a sense of, our place in the universe in the larger scale of things.
Well, thanks, Chris, very much. And obviously, if anyone finds anything, I was going to say send it in to us, but that would be a bad thing to do.
No,
we'd be the wrong people. So send it to someone like Chris or the team that are looking after the UK Fireball Alliance. And as Chris is saying, just look after it. Make sure it's kept careful.